Hello, everyone, and welcome. Sorry, I'm already crying. I've been crying talking to my guests, but welcome to Empowered Conversations, where I have these amazing conversations with these beautiful and extraordinary people out doing amazing and beautiful things out in the world in service to others and just living their best lives and realizing their worth and value and sharing that and being a representation of that. And today, my guest is Viola Chandler, who I'm going to bring on. And Viola, I'm about to bring you on. Yeah, Bliss Flower. So you should look at your phone. You should receive a notification. And there you are. Awesome. All right, guys. So I'm gonna introduce my guest, Viola. She is so fabulous. And I hear an echo. Can you just turn your phone down, your volume? Viola successfully left a meaningless life of horrible drug-induced decision-making for good back in 2017. She took her life back from a world of misery, shame, depression, drug abuse, homelessness, domestic violence, gang-related violence, and sex trafficking rings. Now she loves her life. She is a full-time manager at a pharmacy and a retail store, while she's also attending school with the goal of starting her own business. I think it's me echoing. So sorry, guys. Through her experience, she is on a mission to fill in the gaps that so many rehab centers and addiction treatment meetings are unable to reach. Guys, help me in welcoming my friend and guest, Viola Chandler.
Hi.
Hey, girl.
Hi.
Oh my God.
You gotta stop crying because I'm just getting
I,
crying.
I'm just like, yeah. I apologize, guys. Like, this is, it just, we were talking and it's like, all right. Thank you, Viola, for being so brave and so courageous and so ready to show the world your worth and value and
Thank
how
you for having
amazing you
me.
are. You are so welcome.
This has been a long time coming for me. And coming on to talk about this specifically, the reason I chose you is because we've known each other for a few years now. And I've always wanted to be able to face that fear of judgment from everybody, especially after I finally got it to dissipate and
Right,
quiet down, which took a long time.
right.
So, one of the things that really triggered me to reach out to you was on Facebook, which I'm not a super avid social media person to begin with. But I had a couple of things happen over the past few months where people who do not know me have made comments to not just myself, but someone I love who is going through it currently.
Right.
And it's just disgusting to me that people really think that someone who is on drugs or stuck in some kind of horrid trafficking circle involved with a gang and they're really suffering, they really find it necessary to go out of their way to make some kind of despicable comment to that person.
Yeah.
So it's really frustrating to me that. And then I've got people on my own social media accounts that sometimes tag me in things just under the assumption that I'm going to agree with them when it comes to people who are former addicts or in jail. And they'll include me in their comments. So now I'm just like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done. Obviously, because years ago, when I first got sober and out of all that crap and mess, I was in a safe enough environment that I could, where nobody knew where the heck I was. No one knew where I was staying. I was in a safe enough environment that I was able to create a new Facebook. And every day I was posting, guess what? I'm still doing it. Like, I'm winning.
Right. I've seen many of those posts.
So, yeah. So I'm like, here we are, fast forward several years, and I've gained more friends, and I've regained friends that I knew before any of that. And none of them know what I've been through and what I've gone through. So it's really just time for me to be like, you know what? This is my past life.
Right.
And I am not ashamed by any means. And I shouldn't have to be. I have already gotten multiple jobs.
Yeah.
Okay. I have successfully gotten my family back in parts of, like, I have a family. Okay. Which is,
you have quite a large family.
Yes. Yes, I do. There's eight kids in my family. And I have reconnected myself with the whole world. So one of the things that I wanted to touch base on was how quickly we can forget that the addict or the girl stuck on the street that's, being posted about, oh, do you want to buy this girl? Da, 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 da. Like, do you think I'm sexy? It happens on Facebook all the time.
So what do you mean?
Because these people know who I am, so they're reaching out to me.
So they're reaching out to you thinking that you're still in this sex traffic ring? And they're asking about, so you're saying that on Facebook, people are literally posting about selling other fucking people?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes. And these are people that I was associating with. Okay, so I can't narrow down exactly one or two things, or even three things that put me in that place. It was a multitude of things that had occurred that put me in that place.
I mean,
it's not that simple.
Right. It's not like you just wake up one day and all of a sudden, oh, I think I'm going to do some heroin. I think I'm going to, go and.
I think I'm going to go and hang out with this cartel guy or this Crip or Blood or whatever, and whatever. That's not how it goes.
So how did it, I mean, if you again, you share as whatever you want as much as you want.
I'm an open book. What's up?
I mean, because it's not just a stereotype type of person that that this happens to.
No.
I mean, it can literally happen to anybody.
Oh yeah.
And like, what was your experience, Viola?
Oh my gosh, there are lots of experiences I could reference. Boy. So for instance, if you were doing drugs
Yeah.
and you developed some kind of a friendship with your drug dealer or just someone that you thought that you were friends enough with, that you decided to get in a car and take a ride with. Okay.
Gotcha.
Sometimes you're going to end up in a car and you're not going where you thought you were going.
Gotcha.
By any means. I have been damn near locked up in a basement with chains. And fortunately for me, I wasn't the one or one of the ones who was chained to the pipes in the basement. But
So who are these people coming to have sex? Like there's such a
that's a good question.
mind warped disconnect for me.
That's a very good question. Let me be frank. A lot of the people are not who you think that they would be. Okay.
I have heard that.
Let me put it to you this way. So the guys that are running these rings, yes, they want to use you for themselves, but they use you for themselves for free. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not paying you.
But you're a prisoner. Like you are a literal prisoner.
You cannot.
They're raping you. They're raping you.
You cannot leave. There are so many fucking people guarding that fucking door. And sometimes it's even your girlfriends that bring you there to go pick something up, and it's a trick, and you get inside the house, and then you're fucked. Okay?
So who are these people that are coming and paying the motherfucking pimps? Like that's, it's like, oh, like.
I have been sold to magistrates, police officers. Most shockingly was the magistrate. And you know what's funny about it is when you get in front of these people, they want to tell you, not all of them, but most of them, in my experience, they want to talk to you. Why? Because they're fucked up in their minds.
Yeah.
And they're lacking something. And it almost turns into some kind of a psychological, like, therapy session on their part, while you're just like, okay, because I'd rather be talking to you than whatever the fuck else you're planning on doing.
And that's what we were discussing prior to, coming on live was the complete lack and disregard of realized self-worth and value.
Mm-hmm.
And hatred, inner hatred, self-hatred that these people must feel to come and perpetrate something so motherfucking-rific on someone else.
Yeah. So the thing is, if you are a person who's stuck in that trap, the only way to get out is to run far, very far. Like, you're not going to be able to reestablish a life where you were actively being trafficked or using, because everybody knows everybody, and there's a whole big network of things that's going on that, I mean, it's pretty big. It's a very, very large amount of people who are just actively contributing, and some of them not even realizing that they're contributing to this. Like, some of the people are just drug dealers.
Mhm.
Okay. They're
Mhm.
just selling drugs, or they think
Mhm.
that they're just selling drugs.
Right.
So you've got someone who is on the streets, homeless. You start to hear about that person's story. Okay. As a drug dealer, you hear about that person's story. You hear how lonely they are. You hear how desperate they are. You figure out at some point how desperate they are and what they're willing to do.
Yeah.
Okay. So those drug dealers end up communicating with the people that they're buying their drugs from.
Mhm.
And those people, either directly or usually a tier above that, they want and order women and sometimes guys too.
Mhm.
And they create like this trap where some drug dealers don't even realize that they're doing it. They think that they're like appeasing the girl or boy, man or female,
Mhm.
who the woman that is so desperate that they just want to go and do drugs and get high
Mhm.
and not have to pay for it, da 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 da, because they're so desperate and they don't care. So they'll send them to their boss. Oh, this guy wants to hang out with you. Then they get there, they end up getting locked into a place they can't get out of. And
And they're
there are people with guns all over the place in this house. And then it turns out you end up getting used for sex there. And if you try to fight it, you're going to get beat the fuck down. And in some cases, some of the guys will be like empathetic and say, get her high to calm her down. Um, so that way they can have better control over you. So that happens. And of course, you know, what else are you going to do? You're going to do it, but
you're a prisoner. Like you can't.
you're fucked. You're really fucked. Um, and then, of course, some girls just don't come back.
Yeah.
Which
So
that
what you? I'm sorry. You kind of.
that happens every day. I mean, I've lost a few of my friends who,
So they're murdered. Are they murdered, or are they just they die of a drug overdose,
uh,
or
some of
both?
them say that they were drug overdoses, but I don't believe that. And others, I know um, that they were murdered. So yeah,
Gotcha. So
it's
Viola,
really people.
I'm sorry I cut you off again.
No, you're fine. There's nothing you can do about it, you know. But there are good things that come out of this. In my situation,
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to, you know, because I was actively using drugs. I had no will to live. I
Mhm.
was so depressed and so miserable. Um, I had no meaning and no purpose. So as a human, naturally, I developed bonds because we all were. That's what we do. Naturally, we develop bonds on in any way that we can
Right.
to adapt to our environment. So
Right. Exactly.
if you throw a cat into a room full of dogs, hopefully that cat's going to figure out a way to form a bond with
Bond.
the
Yeah.
dogs, right? So it's just like I was able to form, and this happens quite often, alliances
Mhm.
with other women
Right.
because if we were lucky to get out of that house, or if you were rejected, or if someone better came along, um, you could get out
So if you're in chains, how are you able to get out?
Well, the thing is, some of the drug dealers are actually doing drugs themselves.
Hmm.
And they
Okay.
say monkeys don't sell bananas for a reason. Okay.
Right.
So, so that's helpful.
Hmm.
If
I
you're,
got you. Yeah. So they're passed out.
yeah,
Okay.
either they're passed out or you just talk to them, you communicate with them, and if you're lucky enough, you develop some kind of a connectiveness.
Right, because most people are born with a sense of empathy. Um, and if you're able to connect
Right.
into that heart set, that soul, I mean, then there are others who, like, they were born, you know, void of that type of humanistic mechanism.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
could, I can see.
Yeah. So sometimes you're lucky enough that, and usually there's like one guy or two maybe
Hmm.
that are like in charge of everything.
Hmm.
And at some point, you have to move that person. Okay. And if you're not moving that person, which if you're being relocated,
Okay.
because things can happen in a trap house where it's a newer trap house or something like that that's not so known, so it's a safe environment for them to hold you. um, Especially if you know that, then as someone who has street smarts and stuff like that, and you're paying attention and you're listening through the floorboards, you know, and you're listening to try to figure out who's arguing
Hmm.
with who upstairs and who's going to be the one that I try to get to be empathetic and sympathetic with me.
Right. I've heard that some of these trap houses are in like very affluent areas.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Like it's not just like, these downtrodden, impoverished areas. I mean, I'm sure that's some of them, but
Yeah. And that's, because there is no exception to the rule.
hmm.
I mean, like I said, I've done drugs with police officers. I have been victim to this bullshit with fucking the whole shebang. Been using, abusing, and fulfilling these weird psychological tendencies, fantasies of people that formerly I I held at a higher
Right.
standard, on not a pedestal, so to speak, but
But yeah, a certain level of how they're showing up in life,
right. I
how they
mean, they're
represent themselves.
respectable people in the city and in the towns, and people that I come to when I have an actual problem, and had
Hmm.
come to when I actually had a problem with like something normal or simple.
Like a traffic citation or
Right.
something.
This dude just hit me in the crosswalk, something like that, and you go before this person, and now my perspective has changed, um because there really is no exception to the rule.
Right, right.
There
And
really-
yeah, I've talked to a gentleman who helps bust these sex trafficking rings
Mm,
specifically. And he was saying, it's your next door neighbor, it's the father down the street.
that's
Like
right.
he goes, you don't you think, and my mind was blown. I was like, there's no way, there's no way, there's no way. How can you have your own kids, your own children, and love and adore them and want to protect them, but yet you're selling somebody else's fucking kid?
Yeah.
I mean, mind blown.
So I feel like that the whole thing breaks down to psychology.
Yeah,
Okay. So a lot of
shares it.
people ask me all the time, how how did you get out of here?
Yes.
Like, how did you quit all this fucking bullshit? Well, if you're street smart enough, you're gonna figure out
There you go.
how to hide, how to get away, how to disassociate. And you're gonna realize that you're gonna have to make some major changes, but it starts inside.
Thank you,
It
Viola.
starts inside.
Thank you. What was that for you, Viola? What was that will to live when you shared earlier that you felt like you had no purpose, you had, that you didn't matter? Like, so, like, where was that? Because it's in everybody, and it certainly was in you and is in you. But you know what? Is in you. It's like, but what was it that, like, you know what? Fucking A, my life matters. I matter. I'm getting out.
Yeah. So I had a couple of those aha moments because for me in particular, it took me a few years. And the first blessing that I had, and it was truly a blessing, I had gone to jail. Thank you, Jesus, and amen. Well, I went to jail and nobody could fucking touch me. Nobody could fucking touch me. So I was literally in a safe place. People knew where I was. So a little bit, I did have to deal with some arguments with some of the other girls in jail who knew me
Right.
in the streets, were from the same area, and they were still calling them assholes on the phone because that was like their job and their fucking obligation in life to fulfill.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you suck. Get the fuck out of my way. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's nobody getting in here. So
Mm-hmm.
fuck you. I'm going to do me. Here I am. I'm safe. I'm eating. I have a place to sleep. I had a job in jail. I had a fucking goddamn fantastic time in jail. And this is, it might sound horrible to some people,
No.
but
Doesn't.
I had the time of my life while I was in jail. And I'm so grateful that that judge locked me up because, A, I needed it. I really, really needed a place to get off the streets and away from these people. It was so hard to get away from all that. There was no place to hide. There really wasn't a place to go hide. I was even late leaving jail. I had a great time. I signed up for everything. I was doing choir. I was doing parenting classes. I was doing NAAA. I was doing like the Bible studies, everything you could think of.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of my first like aha moments where I had met. And if anybody on here is from Berkshire County, and Berkshire County, you get sent over to Chicopee.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Then they would probably know there's Mr. Greer. Who he's a pastor and a motivational speaker. And he came to the jail every couple of days to put on this class. And he was the most kind and loving person. And he's a pastor, and he's in there swearing and cussing and cursing and arguing with you and making you cry and making you talk about it and confess. And it didn't even matter whether you were religious or not. He didn't care. Like, he knew what his mission was. He knew what he was getting out of it was confirmation that somebody else was getting that kind of success, confidence, love. And like,
exactly.
It was shocking. Yeah. Fast forward, I got out of jail.
Yeah.
I got out of jail. I really didn't have a place to go back to. I mean, I did, but I didn't. There were different factors that I hadn't addressed in jail.
Right.
So I ended up back on the streets, back in the whole shebang. Then I ended up going to rehab. And mind you, not to, say, I had people that were supportive of me, like on occasion, like there'd be that guy that that ran the corner store,
Mhm.
and there was this one amazing guy that every time I went in there, like to buy a pack of smokes or whatever the heck, and he'd always be like, respect your body, you
Oh.
count, you matter.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
And it was him that said that shit to me. I can never leave that store thinking anything but what he just said. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, why am I not quite there yet? Like, I know he makes sense and I know he's right, but I was still high. I was still on drugs.
Yeah.
And I was still,
But he was planting those little seeds, Viola. He was planting that in your
oh
head
my
and your
God,
heart.
I love that you just said that because it is so true. If you plant whatever you water is going to grow. And that is so fucking true.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
That is so true. If the grass is greener on the other side, that's because you're watering it.
Exactly. Yep.
So I ended up going to rehab. So I got out of jail and I was struggling to maintain sobriety. So I was homeless. I had nowhere to live, and that was awful. The shelters were full. It's always there's always something going on that, you can't get in here because we don't have a bed for you. Or I even struggled with, well, you don't have enough of a problem. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And the intake guys would be on the phone trying to pad up like what I was doing to make me eligible and like able to get in there. No,
Yeah.
it didn't work out.
Oh, yeah.
Which happens. So finally, thank God, I ended up getting into a traffic stop with somebody who I didn't have a good relationship with. I had an untrusting relationship with, but the plan was my brother, who was on the streets with me, my brother was going to come and get me from this guy's house. So this guy was coming to take me to his house to give me a place to get away from all that stuff, but he lived like far away.
Okay.
And the thing was, I had learned enough about this guy to know that I didn't trust him.
Right. I see what you're saying.
So he sounded good. Everything he said sounded good. So I said to my brother, I was like, listen, I'm going to go with this guy. And if I go with this guy, that solves this problem, and this problem for both of us. And if you can meet me in the middle and come up with a reason to save me like this. And we had like this whole stupid, ridiculous plan on how he's going to get me out of that truck and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Sure as shit. Just so happened that, and I'll never forget his name, Officer Bitters.
Bitters, like he's bitter
Better.
or better, like it's a better day.
Everything's all better. Everything's all better.
Okay.
So Officer Bitters pulls us over on a crap traffic stop, okay? Crap traffic stop. I didn't have any drugs on me, but he found something on the ground, which where we were, there was shit all over the fucking ground. I mean, but he accused me of, because he was trying to get me in a place where he could talk to me and try to like make a deal with me because he's working on some other cases and stuff like that, which is typical. That happens. Yeah. So I wasn't talking to him about nothing, because you never know when you're in that situation if you're going to get out in 10 minutes or an hour or you don't know. So I get in front of the judge that day. I get in front of the judge and she's like, I'm trying to explain directly to the judge. Like, fuck everybody else. I don't want to talk to the cops because they can't fucking do shit. They can't help me for real. It all comes down to the judge. So I'm telling the judge, and the DA's over there, and they're like, she's da-da-da-da-da, and we recommend da-da-da-da-da, and jail sentence and all this crap. And all I was doing was I was high on the streets, and had tried my best to get out of. I had called every fucking hotline and every fucking helpline number you could think of.
So what happens with, I mean, so they were not helping you?
No, a lot of these places are just, they have people who either don't know what they're doing, or they really have some kind of a bizarre standard of who can come and who can't come, which is fucked up in itself. Because if you got someone calling on the phone saying, hey, I would like some help, and somebody said you could help, and you're over there saying, well, you don't fit the profile. It's like, what?
Yeah. And yeah. So anyway.
So I ended up telling the judge, she's like questioning me. She's like, well, Viola, why didn't you, because I did really well in jail, and she had all of that information, and she's like, well, why are you back doing all this? And why aren't you in a sober house? And I said, listen, I got out of jail. The place that I went home to did not work out. I didn't have any control, like everywhere I go. These were all the things that I associated. Like, there was no escaping it. There was no, oh, congratulations, you were sober for 6 months. No, that doesn't exist. That doesn't fucking happen. No one gives a shit about anything good that you did. They just want to know how you're going to help them keep their fucked upness and how they're going to stay high. And, you know, whatever's whatever. Some of them are just not at that, you know, it is what it is. I'm not going to say good or bad like these people on the street, because some of them don't even realize because they're just gone. But I ended up telling her, I was like, listen, I have called every freaking place in the book. And she's like, you can, with the charges you had, it was like a possession of an empty bag or something, which wasn't even mine. He had picked it up off the ground. I thought there for a second, and I said, you know what? She's like, you can either bail out for $200, or I can send you to rehab. And I was like, fucking send me to rehab.
Yeah.
Send me. Because I was.
So do you think that cop was like Mr. Betters was trying to save you that day, picking up that bag? And
I can't say. I haven't seen him since.
Okay.
I can't say. My better judgment tells me that he was just doing his job, and there is a reason that there were so many cruisers parked around that section of the town.
Mm-hmm.
But he did save me.
Yeah.
And I do respect him, and I do appreciate him, and I am grateful to him for pulling me over. And that was like the best divine intervention fucking bullshit traffic stop you ever met. Like, that was it. That got me into rehab for 30 days. And the thing about that is nobody knows where the fuck you're being sent, and there are shitloads.
Yeah.
That's a HIPAA violation. So no one knew where the fuck I was going. See, if you were going to jail, people know where the fuck you are. Okay. Mm-hmm. They know who else is in jail at the same time. They can, you know, get to you for minutes.
Yeah.
Like that. And that's not even a problem for them. Mm-hmm. Like, they can track you.
Oh, yeah.
Waiting right up the street the second you get out.
Yeah.
They know. And they alert people. She's getting out right now, or roughly right now. And I want her because she knows about this, and she saw that and this and that. I was very lucky. So I took full advantage. I took full fucking advantage of the fact that I knew that nobody fucking knew where the fuck I was going.
That is so. I just wanted to share with you a comment. John Corbellini's on. He was on East Empowered Conversation several weeks ago. He says, your story is so empowering that you can laugh. He says, it's amazing that you took your experience and turned it to something so strong. You're stronger than I can imagine, and I have nothing but respect for you. Yeah. Thank you, John.
It took a lot for me to come on here today, so I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, when you reached out, It was like it was last week,
Yeah.
and you were like, "Hey, Stephanie, I've been wanting to reach out to you for a while. I watch your show, and would you be open to?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, yeah,
It's crazy. It's crazy stuff. But, you know, like I've been through so much at this point. Like there's no hiding it. And even from my family, there's no hiding it. I
right,
mean, I have I have a child, and I've been in the newspapers, and not just that, even if I wasn't, like, he is growing up in the same area that I was. So it's already happened a couple of times where he's heard, you know, from his father, oh, this happened and that happened. And so there's no secretive way to like get around it. Like, and why should I have to be a secretive person when I'm proud of myself?
absolutely."
I fucking kicked that shit's ass, and I took its name, and now here I am. My life is completely changed. I am I'm getting jobs. I'm getting job offers left and right, which I'm taking a new job.
I
Uh,
know, yeah, I know.
thank you, Jesus. Money's good, offers good. Um, but the thing is, I have learned so much about how people really just have to be their authentic selves, because if you're not, how are you going to relate to anyone? Like, how are you really, what are the qualities of your friendships and your family
Mhm,
relationships if they don't know and they don't understand? And why would they listen or take your advice
right,
if they don't know that about you?
right.
So,
And, the greatest gift, in my opinion, that one can give themselves is that self-awareness.
yeah.
Because when you have that self-awareness and you accept that and you operate from that place of authenticity, then you have that self-love.
Yeah.
And when you have self-love, even in the presence of others who don't possess that, you know, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to really just be able to stand in your authenticity, be proud of who I mean, be so proud of who you are, Viola, and like, look at what you've been through and what you've overcome and persevered through to
Yeah.
then be on the other side.
That's
And
just
the
it.
gift that you are
I'm proud of who I am and where
for
I came
others.
from. And I don't feel like I should have to be ashamed or hide.
Mm-mm. Nope.
I feel like that's like a big piece of the girls that I'm still in contact with,
Mhm.
is like they have a lot of fears, rightfully so, of being judged and disrespected and
Right.
you know, embarrassed
Mhm.
publicly. You know, it's brutal. But you know what? Once you say fuck it, I'm here and I'm
Yeah.
not going away, and my problems didn't go away. I solved them, like, and now I grew from those things. Like, my problems didn't just go away; they made me the stronger woman who I am
Yes.
today. So
Yes.
let's talk about that. Like,
Yes, let's talk about that.
yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't even know what to say. I have so much more that I could say. Um,
Girl, I don't have anything else to do today. Well, the gym, but
well, give me 1 second.
okay.
Let me use the ladies' room. I'll be right back.
Okay, alright. Guys, thank you for all those that are still on, that are watching, and, if you are just popping on, I would highly suggest to go back and watch from the beginning. This is Viola is truly, truly just this incredible, courageous, amazing woman sharing this story of like some of the most horrific shit that you could ever even fathom. And then to come through that and to overcome that and to show up as this beautiful, amazing, empowered woman who's owning her life, owning herself. Viola, I don't know if you could hear me, but I was talking about how amazing you are and how you're owning yourself, owning your
It's
life.
not easy to do.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's easy
Let
for
me tell you,
anybody,
oh my
but
goodness,
come
I've had
on.
people walk into my work after I finally just, like, when I first started working at the pharmacy,
Hmm.
I had been clean for a couple of years already, and I had somebody walk in. I had just started,
Uh-huh.
and I had someone that I used to actively use with walk in and tell my boss that I was a whore, I was a junkie, da 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 da. Little did he know. When I first interviewed for that job,
Right.
I was upfront and honest and bold with my boss. And I
You
said,
just
don't hire me unless you're okay with, because this is what you're going to see. This is what you could see. And that's fine. Like, you're either going to give me this job or you're not going to give me this job. And he's like, I don't care what your past is. I care about who you are now. I have the best boss ever. Oh my God. I love him. The only reason I'm leaving is because, the money.
yeah.
I got bills to pay.
Yeah. Got bills to pay, girl.
Other than that, that was just like the most important thing I could have done for myself. I was upfront
Absolutely.
and honest about it. But I wasn't upfront and honest on a social platform where everybody that I know could really get to know and understand where I came from, where I've been, and how come I am the way that I am now. So I
Yeah.
am very passionate and very supportive of all of the girls that have suffered drug trafficking, kidnapping, it's just addiction in general, depression, which is so horrible.
Yeah.
I honestly, I feel like everybody who has an addiction of some kind where they're trapped in a horrible situation that they can't get past, I feel like it really does break down to some sort of an emotional lacking of connection. Um, Either you've isolated yourself to the point where you have cut all ties with all of your friends and family, and you're depressed, or you're so anxiety, and you just don't have room to breathe and just be able to get out there and be courageously upfront about it and outspoken about it, which is a big, huge step to take.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
we live
To
in a
be public.
society that is so judgmental.
Mhm.
Um,
And think about it. Okay, so there's a difference in discernment and judgment. And when
mhm,
you are literally like, and it's not, and we all do it,
yeah,
but it's like, are you aware when you're judging or when you're just being discerning or
mm,
discerning based upon maybe an intuitive feeling or notion that you
right,
received? And there is a big, huge difference because it's like judgment, I think, and again, we all do it, comes from again a lack of self-awareness to maybe that particular thing that you're well nobody can throw rocks. Everybody has got their bullshit. Everybody has consciously made decisions and choices
yeah,
based upon a lack of self-awareness or from a lack of self-worth. Everybody's been there. And for you to look at somebody and that says so much more about you, so much more about you. And again, it's just a place where maybe you can go, okay, what do I need to understand about myself? What do I need to know right now? Why am I casting judgment on this person or about this situation?
right,
What am I needing? Where's the learning lesson here? Part
right,
growth, opportunity for growth for my own self.
right. And it happens every day. If your friend or a loved one is going through a hard time,
Hmm.
do you judge them,
Right.
and give your advice based on your judgment, and it turns
Mhm.
out to be something so one-sided, and it could be good or bad? Or do you just give some sort of a cautious advisory conversation?
From love.
Right.
Right.
So it's specifically like in my life right now, when I'm talking to my child, for
Mhm.
instance, he's going through bullying at school and stuff like that. I mean, everybody gets bullied at school.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh,
It's
yeah,
a
I
part
was
of
big
life.
time picked on as a kid.
Oh gosh. So just in that, like, I don't want to approach that with judgment. Like, I wouldn't. I don't feel like that's okay to put myself in my own mind and my own experiences. What my opinion is I need to psychologically connect with what's going on in his head and his
Right.
emotions, and
Mhm.
really try to connect on what his perspective is, because that I don't get, and I don't
Right.
get from my own experiences, and I don't get a quality conversation with a successful advisory outcome by discerning what he should do.
Mhm.
I need the details. He needs to be vocal, and he
Mhm.
needs to I really need to be able to communicate with him on a level where I understand exactly what this whole world in his
Right.
mind, what that looks like.
Mhm.
So, and that's difficult. Sometimes, things happen, and if someone hit your kid or hit your sister or something like that, hit your friend, you're a lot of times your reaction is just going to be like, oh my God. And it's either a fight or flight, or a
Right.
psychological reflex that comes out through your physical body.
And what's even deeper is the children that are bullying your son
Mm.
are hurt. They're
Yeah.
they're they're bullying their own lives and them own selves by doing that to someone else. And you could either turn into a bully from being bullied, or you
Mhm.
could like what I did. Like I was always like intentionally excluded, left out, and picked on, and my
Yeah.
feelings were hurt a lot as a kid. And instead of me becoming that asshole narcissist bully, I'm very conscious and aware of how, especially being inclusive, to others. And you froze. Yeah. You're back. And just like, you know, you're frozen, Viola. Can you see me? Okay, there you go.
I,
Um, yeah, it's just like you can turn any situation. Uh-oh, you're gone. Uh-oh. Oh no! I can hear you. Oh wait, I can see you on Instagram. But yeah, you froze on the computer. You're not on here. It's like black. Oh wait, hold on. I'm gonna add you back. Viola Chandler. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna remove this one. There we go. Now, I was just saying that we can all take our experience in life and we can either live that ourselves and be that, or we can turn it into something that is so much more empowering
right.
and based
Yeah.
upon self love,
Right.
you know? But so John has another comment for you. He says, after listening to this story, I will never complain about my challenges ever again. I have nothing to bitch about. Thank you for your vulnerability and honesty.
Thank you.
Thank you again, John. So I have a question. So you've mentioned like these hotlines and these and and you in your bio that you sent to me, you mentioned like we're missing the gaps here.
Hmm.
Like you were asking for help, and I know someone else who's asked for help, and they're like, "Oh no, you don't qualify."
Yeah.
Like I live in a house chained to a pole in the basement, being raped on a daily basis. I'm addicted to drugs. And how is it I don't qualify?
It doesn't matter. Some people who it's kind of like, in my opinion, from my experience, I think that these people who answer the phones are not very experienced, and not just that, they get overwhelmed pretty quickly, and they learn just to go by the dialect that they're given. It's almost like a simple one-page questionnaire, yes or no, and if you filled enough yeses or filled enough nos, you're either good to come or you're not. And it's pathetic, but that seems to be very common.
So the answer is, if you're looking for help,
Yeah.
just check the yes boxes. Yes, 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 whatever. Whether it applies to you or not.
Right. Which sucks.
So, but I mean, so and another thing with, you're saying that there's cops involved, there's a magistrate that's involved, there's all these higher up people that are involved in this sex trafficking, prostitution, drugs.
It
You
affects
know,
everybody.
it's like that's almost, it's like that's where where we need to start the crumbling. Like
Well,
that, because if they're in a position of power,
yeah.
but they're engaging
Yeah.
in these acts.
Right.
Hell no, they're not going to be dismantled. They're gonna do everything in their power not to help the girls or get the people off drugs or stop the, like,
This is
where
the
we yeah.
this is the power fucking struggle that everybody goes through, and this is where the fears come from, because ultimately there are so many girls who just can't and won't, because the power is so powerful that they know, gosh darn well, that their odds of surviving this are slim, very slim. How are you gonna, once you realize who you're face to face with, it's you feel helpless. You feel like, I really thought that you were a good person, or I really thought that, like, you were doing this job or that job because you wanted to. But the reality is, like, most Americans, I don't know about other countries, but in my opinion, most people are not happy with their jobs and what they're doing,
Right.
and not happy with
Oh,
their lives.
mhm.
So there comes to be,
And they're staying in that state of mediocrity, or that place of mediocrity in their lives, and not doing something greater, because out of fear, of failure, fear of success, fear of, or that complacency. Okay, I'm safe.
Mhm.
I'm safe. It's not about being safe. It's about thriving.
Yeah. If you can get out, that's why I said, like, if you're gonna go, you gotta run. You gotta run. You gotta run far. You gotta go out of your freaking way to cut ties and disassociate. And I was very lucky and very fortunate to not have been tracked like us. Quite a few girls that I know that are dead now. They're gone and they're not coming back. I can't say what makes me different than them. But yeah, like, it's, sorry.
Please don't apologize.
It's easy to lose your faith. It's easy to lose your faith when you realize that, like, the people you rely on
Are evil.
are making those decisions for you. So, and that's just that's like the hardest part. That was the worst thing. So when I got out of rehab, girl, I'm gonna say this to I fucking bolted. I left. I went as far south as I could. I was like, fuck this and fuck that and fucking nope. Well, I'm good. literally, what by the time I came back a couple of years later, and had sort of like tiptoed back into having a kind of presence, and it wasn't intentional. It was just like, okay, this person just saw me that I haven't seen in years. Am I going to be okay? Most of those people really thought that I was dead, shocked that I was alive. Oh man. So anyways, my thing is, if you're going to get out, you really need to change your fucking environment. And that's part of the things where when you go to a rehab facility
or jail,
or
because you had a
jail.
lot of progress in jail.
Yeah. Some people hate their jobs. Okay. But then there are some people, so if you're really looking for the good, you're gonna find it.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
If you're looking for it, you're gonna find it. If you start knocking, them doors are gonna open. Okay, you're going. That's human nature. You're going. If you're looking to connect with something specifically, you keep putting them fillers out. You're gonna find it.
Yes.
It took me a long time to realize that, but I had other things going on in my childhood, and just the way that my parents were, that had instilled some sort of a strength of my core. Like I knew that these things were possible, so that helped. That definitely helped me. But yeah, you're gonna be able to push through. You're gonna be able to find something to pull you into that different new direction.
Right.
Okay.
And it could have been those little seeds that Mr. Betters.
Yes.
And the pastor that you encountered at the jail. And
Yep.
it's like, but it infiltrated you. It infiltrated your heart, your soul, your mind, and
it struck me on such an emotional chord that I connected. And that's one of my guilty pleasures here, is like the whole neuroscience, based off of what's really going on emotionally, physically, mentally, like spiritually. What is going on? How is this changing? Why did this change? How are you sustaining this change? And I have come to realize that when you go to jail, a lot of people are just like, you know what? We're going to see you again next week. Like girls that are getting out. Some of the people that work there. Oh, yeah, see you next week.
Yeah, fuck you. Yeah, they're just like,
what the hell? Like, that's helpful, isn't it?
Like, and hopefully we won't ever see you again.
Like, you wonder why you're so miserable with your job. Like, try to get something back or don't, whatever. You're wasting my time. So, and I met Jim Greer, and I made that emotional, psychological connection with. So it brought me back to a place where I was like, you know what? I didn't really have a drug problem or a problem with like hanging out with the wrong crowds. I had been suffering from this lack of stimulation from the environment that I had previous to all of this, because all at once, it seemed to just dissipate. My family disappeared. Like, there was a lot of things. There wasn't just one or two things that created this whole scenario for me. It was a number of things. But I played the violin since I was 4 years old. Okay.
I didn't know that. That is awesome.
Most people don't even know it. I played the violin since I was 4 years old. I sang in choir. I was in orchestra forever. I was out there, Oh my God. I can't even tell you. I've run races and oh my God, I was a very active person with a life
Yeah.
that I really enjoyed it, and it was a good quality life
Mm-hmm.
before all this stuff happened. And
Mm-hmm.
how quickly we forget, like when we're speaking about like someone who's an addict, like
Right.
or just a junkie, and it's like, okay, well,
Right.
what were they before that? Do you even
Right.
know? Do you
Right.
even care to know? Because you don't. I don't think you know. Like, it's not like
Yeah.
it came out of the womb and I was doing drugs. First off, um, my whole life mattered.
Mm-hmm.
When I was doing drugs, nothing in my environment was stimulating anything familiar to me. Nothing. I mean, my brother was my brother, but he didn't seem like my brother because, even that was a dangerous situation at times for me. Um, I still loved him,
Oh
but
yeah.
that's a very difficult thing when you're both, in a toxic environment and both making wrong choices. I was definitely isolated. I had no friends, no family, because I was ashamed to reach out to them and terrified to reach out to them because that's one of the ways that these gangs will get to you. They'll threaten your kids, your siblings, your parents, anything and everybody that they can
Wow.
to coax you into going along and doing it's fear based.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then with the drugs mixed on top of it, it doesn't really there's nothing else to connect to but to like you just adapt. Okay, I'm so depressed, I'm so lonely, I'm so sad and miserable about what's been going on, and I can't even think, and now I'm homeless, and now on top of that I don't know when the last time I ate was, or when the last time I slept inside was, like. And if I come out of this hole and I walk down that street to where the soup kitchen is, then the odds are 50-50 that someone's going to coax me into coming with them, and God knows what the fuck's going to happen there. Like, so it turns into this horribly vicious cycle where you are just untrusting and uninterested to the point where your decisions are based out of survival.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. That's it. So it's really, it might, for people that haven't been through that, it might be hard to like
Right. Yep.
understand. But let me tell you, girl, when that guy gets into some sort of an avalanche and his hand gets stuck, there was a guy this happened to where his avalanche came and his hand is stuck between two boulders, and you gotta either sit there and wait to be saved or you gotta cut that hand off. You're gonna cut your hand off.
Right.
You're going to do whatever it takes because it's survival based and nothing else
Mm-hmm.
matters.
Yeah.
So when you're beat down that freaking bad, you're going to
Right.
do whatever it takes. Like, you're only going to do what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that guy didn't cut his hand off and go jogging home all happily. Like,
Right.
it's great. No, that
Right.
was a
Right.
horrible trek home. I mean, um, you're bleeding and all this stuff. Animals are tracking you. You're exhausted. You're potentially bleeding to death. God knows, like, what's going to happen. But psychologically, you got to be strong enough. And the
Right.
thing is,
And
like,
you were. Yeah, you were. Thank you for painting that picture of like taking us down the journey of how things transpired and then put you in that place where you were living that life.
it's not something I'm proud of, but I'm proud of the fact that I survived it.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So you're wanting to start your own business.
Mm-hmm.
Tell
Yeah.
us about that.
So I haven't, I, after all of that time I spent on the street, a lot of things have changed, social media wise and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I'm not a huge social media person. I want to be, but it's not like top priority, or
Yeah.
it hadn't been for the past few years. I had other priorities like my basic health, my mental health, my family,
Yeah.
my financial situations and stuff like that. But now that I am finally in a place where I can relax enough to have some extra me time to get into something new and go on this really cool adventure, I'm like, you know what? I want to keep back up with the times. So I want to figure out what's going on, what's changed, because all those years that I was entrapped in this situation,
Mhm.
social media changed. When I started
Yeah.
that, MySpace was still a thing. Okay. Like,
Right.
let's
Golly.
that way.
I know I still have a MySpace account, but I haven't been in it in years.
Yeah. So a lot of things have changed, and I feel like now I have a better chance to really share what worked for me and what didn't work for me. So I got to figure out there's so many aspects. I know,
Yeah.
um, when you want to start a business of your own, and how to start that business, and how
Yeah.
to use all these social media things and everything, and
Yeah.
how to
It
connect.
ain't easy.
Yeah. So my goal is to eventually be able to reach more people that want to reach out to me and really share what's been helping me, how I've been able to get past that, and what I still do like every day, how
Hmm.
I'm getting through my days, and how I deal with judgment and fear, and there's so many things. Like I know that I'm not a drug addict. Let's just go that far, because that
Yeah.
ticks me off right there. A lot of places are just like, oh, once an addict, always an addict, and it's like that's not my situation. If that's what's working for you, that works for you. But I have successfully stopped all of this, and I don't have to give that. I don't have to give that to anybody in any type of associative way.
Hmm.
That doesn't control me.
Right.
Okay, because this is my norm, this is who I am, this is my life, and who's to say whether it's right, wrong, twisted, da 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 da. Like, you have no business, because I'm a human being and I have my own unique personal life experiences, and those are
Absolutely.
people that I want to talk to. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So share with us a couple things that you do um, to bring about that taking charge and being intentional with your day and your life.
Okay. So, for starters, I listen to motivational videos.
Love it.
Okay. And stuff like yours. Your channel is
Oh,
very empowering. But it's
thank
really
you.
important, especially because when you're first, it doesn't matter. When you're going through something so physically negative,
Hmm.
it's so hard to get out of it. So
Oh,
you
yeah.
really have to have some sort of a desire, or you really have to initiate it for yourself, because you can't force somebody else into it. Somebody can't force me into it.
Right.
I
As
have to
hard, and that
want to do
is,
it.
and that's so hard. Um, I did want to share. There's a Facebook user. I don't see your name because you're probably in my DeFo Rick and Licious and you group commenting. But good stuff. You are needed. Is the comment, and it's, well, wow, what a journey. Thank you, Viola, for sharing. Bold for sure. Consider that your soul decided to incarnate as you in this lifetime in order to have certain experiences, and that when the experience has happened, the soul you is free to create anew from your experience.
Thank you.
How beautiful. Thank you, Facebook user. When I get off, I'll be able to see who you are, but right now, but thank you. What a beautiful, and that's
And
That
that's
makes
why I'm
sense.
here. That's exactly why I'm here, because I really am sick and tired of not being able to be authentically me. And
Oh.
I love me.
Oh, it's Gil. Okay, so it's my yes, hi Gil. Thank you. It's Gil. Yeah, he's new to the Facebook group and he's watching from the Facebook group. Thank you so much, Gil. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for saying that. That means a lot to me. I appreciate it a
Yes.
lot. But no, back to what we were
Yes.
saying
Yeah,
before.
like
The things that I do every day is I have this vice. Okay. I have this vice where, and this happened to me in rehab. These are things that I picked up in jail because I did like all these different sessions on like alcohol addiction with Jim Greer. He led like these religious, spiritual classes and stuff like that. And then in rehab, they were all different things, and some of these suggestions were so cool and really stimulated me to the point where I was like, fuck yeah, that's what I like. It just, I wasn't getting enough of it all in one place, which I understand is difficult, and that hopefully with the business that I'm working on creating, I'll be able to kind of group that all into one whole thing so it's more valuable.
right.
But like your self-talk, okay,
Thank you.
fucking huge. Like if you're waking up, or even if you don't start your day, all right, if you're depressed, your day starts with shit. All right, fuck.
Yeah, damn it.
Yeah, fuck. Now what? Like I'm not
Yeah.
going anywhere. No. Or if you make a mistake and you're that critical of yourself that you're like, fuck, I fucking suck.
Yeah.
Horrible. I've done it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I've spoken so badly of myself, and the way that they taught us in the rehab center I went to, which was difficult for me, really difficult. They had us all sit in this circle and they passed around a mirror.
Ooh,
They
mirror work.
passed around a mirror, and when it was your turn, you had to hold that mirror and look at yourself in the eyes and say something good and positive about yourself. Oh my God.
Oh my
It
God,
was
I love that.
so hard. Especially where I had all this crap and like I was really having a good time, and then she handed me the mirror.
Yeah. Mirror work is powerful.
Oh man, it really is. And I didn't even, so I successfully like rehabbed. That 30 days at the treatment center worked for me. It did the trick. I left. I didn't care. I got out of there. I started a whole new life. I did travel far away in order to establish a better environment for myself. But every time I looked in the mirror, I challenged myself to do that. And I'm trying to wrap my head around it. Like it took so long. And like so many times I looked at myself in the mirror and I'm like, I started laughing at myself.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I remember the first time I did. I was like, what?
So funny. Like, what am I doing? But I forced myself to like lock pupils with myself and say, even if nobody else fucking does, I love you. And for the longest time, I knew that I was lying, but eventually I believed it.
Yes.
I changed my perception, and the power of belief is more unique than anything else. That's what started.
Guys, I'm going to tell you right now, mirror work, just Google it. I don't know if Louise Hay is the one who came up with it, but I know that I learned about it through her. I don't know if you're familiar with Louise Hay, but it is powerful, and you will feel a little silly the first time you're going, I love you. I love you. But like she said, at first you may not believe it, but boom, does it not
works.
infiltrate? Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
is so strong and it's so powerful and intense once you actually are able to do it and say that to yourself and believe it. The
Yes.
power of like yourself and your confidence in your mind, and like, no matter what, I got your back, and you're talking to yourself. Like, your self-talk is so powerful. Oh my God. I'm so grateful that I learned that trick, because still to this day, if I'm like feeling kind of messed up and like work's gonna suck today, and I'm like, God damn, I don't want to go. I looking at myself, I'm like, okay, so I have to give like this presentation that I know that the district manager is not going to be fond of. My numbers suck. Da 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 da. I didn't hit the goal. Whatever. No matter what happens today, I got your back. Like, and it works. It actually works.
Yes.
It's fucking
Yeah,
wild.
I've just a wave of cold chills is happening for me right now, Viola. Wow. So mm,
Thank you
powerful.
so much for letting me
Oh my
talk to
God.
you
It
about
it has
this.
been an honor to have you here. Thank you. I'm like when
God.
you reached out and you know and asked me that. I was driving to the gym and you were like, "Would you mind if would you be open to like talking about, this?" And I was like, "Hell yeah." Oh my God. Thank you so much for being on here today. This has been, and I knew empowered conversations because I we've never really talked about this. I mean, I've known you since I think it didn't you move to Brad's at 2017? Okay. And that's when I met you, but we never really discussed this. I had no idea of any of this.
I didn't
Um,
tell anybody.
right. And then when you reached out with that, I was I was like, "Please come on. Please come and share."
I
Thank you
thought
for
about it for so long, and I'm like, you know what? The one person I know I can trust to just let me
right.
authentically say what's on my mind is Stephanie. And I respect you and I appreciate you so much. It's not easy to be able to talk to somebody who's preconditioned and stuff like that. And I didn't want to have a conversation where I felt like I was defending myself or something like
Right.
that. Because that's stressful and that's
Yeah.
no fun. So I appreciate you. So thank you so
I
much.
appreciate you and I respect you, Viola.
I love you.
I love you. Guys, thank you so much for being on today. Viola, please keep us in the loop on what you're doing on um, this might be Gil. He says Kelly Talk Show. Then he says nicely done, both of you. Great show. Thank you, Gil. Thank you, John Corbellini. Thank you, others who were on today. Um, unless you commented, I have no idea. If I've seen the numbers popping up, but I don't know exactly who was on and listening. Guys, go back and re-listen to this from the very start, from the very beginning. Viola is such an inspiration. She's such an empowered, powerful human being. Thank you for being the gift. Thank you for being here with us today and just being a gift to the world.
Thanks for giving me the
Yes.
opportunity to just be me.
You are
So
so welcome.
thank you.
Guys, I'm going to say goodbye. I will be, I have a guest coming on next week. Super excited about that. Viola, you stay right here. Guys, thank you again for being a part of Empowered Conversations today.